Hello and welcome to the second part of this mix breakdown. We're still looking at the Christmas arrangement that I did. So in the first part, we looked at the percussive and the melodic instruments, how I mixed all of those, how I balanced the volume and, did all the processing, as well as the choir parts. And in this part, the part 2, we're going to be looking at the lead vocals, how they are processed, and as well as the effects for everything. We're going to be running through the effects. We'll see the effects, what I sent to what, and how they are responding to the effects, and how everything contributes to the final sound. So let's dive right into it. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be turning off the choir parts. We don't need to listen to that. All I want us to focus on is the lead parts. At the end of the tutorial, I'm going to play everything so that you can hear how everything interacts with each other. But for this particular mix breakdown, I'm going to be focusing only on the lead parts. So I'm going to mute the choir parts so we don't hear those and focus on the lead. So for the lead, we have 3 lead vocals. We have 1 male and 2 female vocalists. And I'm sending each of them to their respective or corresponding subgroups or buses. So for the male lead, it's coming right here. For the first female, it's coming right here. And for the second female, it's coming right here. Editing wise, what I did is manual pitch correction. Same thing here. And the same thing here as well. Or I did not manually pitch correct this one. So for the lead vocals, I have 1 male lead vocal and 2 female lead vocals, and I'm sending each of them to their corresponding subgroups. So the male lead vocal from here goes to here, which is the male lead. Female lead 1 and 2 goes here and here. As far as editing goes, you can see I've done this clip gain automation here to kind of smooth out the vocal performance. I've done that here and I've done that here as well, and also on this section here. I've also edited, so here I've done some manual pitch correction, as you can see, using Vari Audio. So on the subgroups, and I'm not doing anything else. I don't believe I am. I'm not doing anything in the individual tracks. Everything I did is on the subgroups. Let's have a listen to what they sound like.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, a newborn king to see pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
And for the female lead, Alright, so all that you heard was with all of the processing that's happening on them. So let me just quickly turn all the processing off and then we'll go through everything. Okay, so on this guy.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, a newborn king to see pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
So this is my voice. This is me singing, by the way. I'm not a great singer, but I can still sing to save my life. But I'm not like the very best singer in the world, yeah. The first thing I'm doing is auto-tune because I need it. Otherwise, I'll sound like a frog. Right, so auto-tune. And I've set the key and the scale as well as the input type. The retune speed, I have it up to 10. And then I've increased the flex tune to 30 because I don't want this sounding like it's very, very auto-tune. I want the auto-tune to be transparent. And then I'm sending it through this tape. This is the Oxide tape recorder from UAD. And what I'm doing is just passing the audio through this tape recorder. And then the next thing is, again, another tape plugin, just so that I can get that tape vibe, that analog vibe going. and I've pushed the input on this one. I've set the IPS to 30, and then I've set this to 2-inch 16 track, and that's all. The idea behind this is I'm trying to simulate like the analog workflow where I'm pretending that the singer, by putting the auto-tune first, I'm pretending that the singer is a great singer, amazing voice, hitting all the pitch right, and then is now singing into, the microphone, and the microphone is going into this tape being recorded through the tape into the mix console. So that's, like the whole mindset. And after that, I am doing some tuning with the frequency plugin from Steinberg. And I'm just cleaning up all of this. This one is a dynamic filter right here. So it's not permanent. Only when this frequency range becomes, resonates too much, then this guy activates and, turn them down. But these three here are static. And I'm targeting this low, mid to mid frequencies where there are a lot of unpleasant resonances in my voice particularly.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, a newborn king to see, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
Now this is how it sounded before.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
And now.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
So right after that, I have the 1176. And what I'm doing with this is, even though this is a very fast compressor in terms of the attack, I've set the, attack slightly to the slower part. So I've set it on 3, which is like a medium to slow attack, because I don't want to clamp down on the transients of my voice. And I have set the release to like medium to fast release so that it recovers and then compresses again. The essence of this is so that I preserve like the initial transients, and then I allow the compressor hold on to the compressed vocals, compresses it, holds on to it just a tiny little bit before it releases and compresses again, which will give me that very smooth feel or that very smooth performance from the vocals.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, a newborn king to see, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. Our finest gifts we bring, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
So you can see there are only certain parts where the compressor is where the needle is really moving towards 2 dB and 3 dB of gain reduction. Otherwise, it's just dancing between 0 and 1. And that's because I've done a little bit of this automation right here to kind of help the compressor a little bit, so that it's not overworking itself. And even if it's doing a lot, it's not going to be too much. As you can see here, between 2 and 3 dB. It helps us have a very consistent vocal. Then the next thing I'm doing is sending that into the LA2A, and I'm using this to just give the vocal, a little bit of body, and as well as bring it forward in the mix.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
Let's listen to this in context.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, a newborn king to see, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
Before.
Our finest gifts we
After.
bring, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, to lay before the king, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
So we've kind of pinned the lead vocal to the front where we want it, and it's just right there. It's not moving, it's not going forward, it's not going backward. And that's what the compressor helps you achieve. And the very next thing we have is the channel strip plugin from Plugin Alliance. And what I'm doing here is just a little bit of roll off, a little tiny bit from this frequency right here, and as well as a little bit from, this frequency right here. Same thing. So all I'm doing is subtractive, taking away things that would have been added, because running these compressors in series, they would have exaggerated, a lot of the good stuff, but a lot of the bad stuff as well. So we're using this to target where those bad stuffs are, and then we're just turning them down a little bit to still make the vocal sound as natural as possible and as clean as possible.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, a newborn king to see pa-ra-pa-pum-pum.
So mixing is very, very subjective. In fact, music generally is very, very subjective. You might listen to this and feel like, nah, this is not enough. So you might still want to go in and tweak this, maybe turn down the low mids a little bit more or turn down the lows a little bit more. Whatever. When you're working on your project, that's where your ability to make the right decisions and your tastes comes in. And then the next thing I have is the GSAT Plus. And I've turned on the saturation, and I'm using the second stage of the saturation, and I'm just turning up the even ordered harmonics to about 50. This helps drive the fundamental a little bit more so that it can be heard within the mix.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pum-pum.
Again, I have frequency to just clean up all of the bad stuff that I'm adding with all of this compression and saturation and everything. The voice is sounding better, but it's also bringing up unwanted resonances, and I'm using this EQ to treat all of those and make sure that no particular frequency range is overbearing or spoiling the balance of how I want the vocals to sound.
They told me pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, a newborn king to see pa-ra-pa-pum-pum.
So at this point, I'm going ahead to add yet another saturation plugin, and I'm using the Magma BB Tubes. I'm using this one to give it, some extra harmonics, but then I'm adding just a little bit of beauty and a little bit of the beast. For the beauty, this is the even ordered harmonics, and for the beast, this is like the odd ordered harmonics. So I'm using this to again boost the fundamentals, a little bit so that it has warmth, the vocals has warmth. And then I'm using the beast to just push up the edgy side of the vocal a little bit so that it cuts through the mix and it's, as sharp as I want it to sound.
To lay before the king, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, ra-pa-pum-pum, ra-pa-pum-pum.
Yeah, and that's all I'm doing there. So I'm sending this male lead vocal to the lead boss, like I've said. But before we look at what's happening on the lead boss, let's visit the other vocalists. So for the female vocals, so same thing. It's a very, very similar chain. Auto tune into the Oxide tape recorder, into the virtual tape machine. And with those three, this is how it's sounding. So after those, sending again into EQ just to clean it up. And you can see me doing this, almost looks crazy, like a crazy, crazy deep. And it's because the singer on that day, there was a thing with her voice, and she was sounding a bit harsh on the high mids. And I wanted to like control that a little bit. Could have used the DSR, but I just thought to tame it dynamically with this EQ and try to control that at this point. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what damn. And that's what I'm doing besides, all of these other notches. I'm not using the 1176 on her vocals. I'm using the 3A because the 3A has a more transparent sound, I didn't want to use the 76, particularly because it's going to add some upper harmonics to the sound. And like I said, the vocalist was sounding, a type of way. And using the 1176 with the way it adds harmonics, I was trying to avoid exaggerating those upper harmonics where I was taking away from the vocal. Essentially, what I'm saying is for the 1176, it tends to add upper harmonics, especially in the high mid frequencies. And because the singer on that particular day has an issue with her voice, I didn't want to exaggerate those frequencies. And that's why I'm using the 3A, because it has a more transparent sound, but still gets the job done. So this again gives you the idea on how to approach a mix. So you don't just throw plugins just because you want to throw plugins. You have to have a reason for using specific plugins, why you are using them, and which one you are using, what do they do, and how do they affect the signal. The 1176 would have made it worse and not better, and that's why I went with the 3A. And from the 3A, I'm going into the 2A.
Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels.
So yeah, that's it. I'm using this to bring her to the front a little bit, and add a little bit more body and warmth to her vocals. You can see the point where the needle moved a lot was at this point, where she sang that very high note, and it didn't even move so much because I'd done this gain automation. If I had just left it flat like the way it is at this point, the compressor would have gone absolutely crazy. So it's good to help your compressor in advance. If you have very dynamic vocal performances, try to do all of this automation to kind of manually level it out first before using the compressor to smoothing out the entire performance. Then the next thing, I'm sending them to this channel strip, taking away from that high mid just a little bit, boosting the highs. So I'm using the highs to compensate because I didn't want the vocals to sound very dull. As you keep taking away from the high mids, it keeps making the vocal sound dull and pushing it back inside the mix. But I'm using the highs to compensate for that. So from 10K and up, I'm just doing a little bit of high shelf. And then for the low mids and the lows, I'm removing from those.
Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to Bethlehem.
Nice. And then from that, I'm going into the Pro MB. With this one, I'm trying to, again, control those high mids, make sure that it doesn't sound harsh, right? So I'm doing this in stages and I'm trying to do it carefully so that I don't spoil everything that I've built or everything that I've done so far. If the singer's voice had been in a much better condition, I may not have been doing all these moves, right? So again, as I listen to the voice, I'm kind of making my decision based off of the way the voice sounded.
Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to Bethlehem.
So this is just for me to control the vocals a little bit in the mids and in the high mids. I'm just using this for control. And then I'm using Magma BB tubes to kind of boost the edginess of it a little, because I feel like I have controlled from the very first EQ down to the multiband compressor. So I just wanted to add that sharpness a little bit. But because I've controlled it a lot, this sharpness now is going to be more of a very neutral sound. But then again, I've not gone crazy with it, just a little bit.
Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to Bethlehem.
So you can see it brings her back forward in the mix, right? It brings out that clarity, that upper mid frequencies, but it's not sounding harsh. And yeah, that's all that I have for this particular one. And then for the next female vocalist,
Angel, come let us adore. Oh, come let us adore.
Same thing, auto tune and the tape plugins, and this is how it's sounding.
Oh, come let us adore.
Then EQ to clean up the vocals. Same thing again with the high mid frequencies. I'm just trying to control that. And I'm sending that into the compressors, the 3A and the 2A. 3A again for the same reason, because that was the Christmas period. I think the two female singers came down with a cold or something. They were down with a flu anyway, so it kind of affected their voices, especially in the upper mids. So yeah, if you're a singer, take good care of your voice, so that the weather doesn't affect your voice and you can perform at any time and still have your voice in great condition.
Oh, come let us adore.
So yeah, after that, I was running it through. For her, I'm using the SSL channel strip, and what I'm doing is taking down on the upper mids from 3.4K where there tends to be harshness. I'm removing a little bit from that. I'm removing a little bit from the low mids as well, and from the lows, and for the highs, just a little bit that I'm adding.
Oh, come let us adore.
Yeah, and then I'm adding the multiband compressor, the Pro MB, using this to control the upper mids, and then using this to control the mids and a little bit into the low mids, as you can see. But I'm also adding that back a little bit because I didn't want her voice to sound too thin.
Oh, come let us adore. In Christ alone.
Yeah. And lastly, I'm doing the tubes again. Very little of the beauty and little of the beast.
Oh, come let us adore.
Remember I said the beauty is for the even ordered harmonics, the second order harmonics, and the beast is for the odd ordered harmonics or the third order harmonics.
Oh, come let us adore. In Christ alone.
Yeah, man. Okay, let's move on to the lead boss and see what's going on there. So all that I'm doing on the lead boss is just an EQ. I'm just using an EQ to kind of, control everything, make sure that the lows and the low mids, are not too exaggerated. And then I'm controlling the mids and the low mids again right here. I'm just trying to control the frequency distribution so that it's not a problem, especially when it's playing alongside every other thing that's going on within the mix.
Oh, come let us adore.
So yeah, this same EQ move, applies to all of the vocalists.
To lay before the king.
So you can see that we're just cleaning up everything to make sure that it still sounds nice. There is no unpleasant resonance and all of that. So yeah, that's that for how I'm processing the lead vocals. And now let's go into the effects. So for the effects, this is everything that I have set up. I doubt that I'm using everything, but yeah, this is all that I have set up. So I have a ping pong delay, I have a stereo delay, slap delay, front verb, mid verb, back verb. I'm using these three to kind of create depth within the mix. I always have it in my templates, although I do not always use it. But for songs that I feel like need that very three-dimensional feel, I, use this mid, back, and front reverb. And then I have the short reverb. For this one, I have the drums reverb and then the long reverb, the washy reverb. So yeah, that's all I have. So let's start from the very top and look at what I'm sending to what's in each of them. So for the ping pong, I'm using the Steinberg's ping pong delay, set it to a quarter note. You can see the low filter up to 400 and then this one up to 9K. So I'm just like bringing in the very, very low stuff, and I've set the feedback to 25% because it's a send, so it's at 100%. And compressor to kind of achieve that docking effect so that when the main signal is playing, the delay is suppressed, and then once they've stopped singing, the delay is released back. So I'm using the lead bus as the sidechain input. So every time the lead is singing, the delay is going to be compressed. And then once they stop singing, the delay is allowed to flourish. And then I have the stereo delay after that. For the stereo delay, I'm using the H delay. So again, set to quarter notes. And that's it. For the slap delay, okay, I have nothing here. So that means I'm not using this particular delay plugin. For the front verb, I'm using True Verb. These are my settings for the front verb. And for the mid, these are my settings as well. You can pause it, take a screenshot, whatever, however works best for you. And for the back verb, these are my settings. And then after that, the Pro MB. So again, I'm using this as a Docker effect. So for all the all the voices rather, the Allvox bus, I'm using this as a sidechain, as the sidechain input. You can see here external, so it's listening to the Allvox bus, and for this one external as well, listening to the Allvox bus. And for the Allvox bus, that's where I'm sending both the choir and the lead bus to. Oh, I'm not sending the lead bus to the Allvox bus. That one's going straight to the mix bus. So that's just basically the choir. That's what's going to the Allvox bus. Why did I not send the lead bus into the Allvox? Anyways. And then for the short reverb, I'm using the Pure Plate from UAD. For the drums reverb, using the Valhalla Vintage Verb. Ambience, drum air, that's the preset. The mode, ambience, this is the decay time. And for the long reverb, I'm using the Valhalla concert hall, decay time this, pre-delay this, preset default. And yeah, that's all that's happening. So now let's see. I think I sent some individual drum parts to the drums reverb. Yeah, these guys are going to the drums reverb. So you can see all of them here. Let me highlight all of them. This is where they are here. And then within the context. Because I wanted this song to have like a very cinematic, epic feel, it would only make sense that I put this drum rolls and these epic sounds into a reverb to kind of simulate a space, a very big space, to make it sound epic as I can make them sound. Then I have these guys go into the mid verb, these two guys. That's the lead guitar. Yeah, those ones are going straight to the mid verb. And this one, this guy is going to the back reverb. You can hear the reverb tail is all the way to the back. This I'm sending to mid and back, which is the piano melody. I'm just using this to create the ambience for the main melody parts. So I've made this to sound very, very ambient, right? I've sent a little to the mid verb and a little to the back verb as well. So the reverb is both in the middle and at the back. So it's kind of like filling up the entire space apart from the front. So it's not very dry, and then it's also not very, very wet. When I played this, I didn't quantize it, right? I wanted it to have that very natural feel, and that's why it sounds, jumpy. But within the context of the entire music, you would not even, hear all of that.
A newborn king to see.
Yeah, I wanted it to sound very natural, very like an actual human played it, right? Those are the individual parts that I'm sending to effects. And then the choir, I'm sending the choir to the stereo delay. And remember, the stereo delay is this H delay, and it's on the fourth note. Repeat. And I'm sending the stereo delay into the short and the long reverb. So the delay from the choir has a reverb on it. So the delay isn't sounding dry. The delay is like in a space. Let's solo the choir and hear. You can hear that repeat, right? So yeah, that delayed vocal that's coming afterwards, that delayed signal, and it's also being sent into the reverb. So it just creates this ambience of this is a very big song, this is a very big space, and all of that. It just makes you want to listen to the song over and over and over again. And trust me, you will listen to it over and over again. So yeah, after that, okay, I'm sending the Allvox bus. Remember, this Allvox bus is, still coming from the choir. The Allvox bus I'm sending to the back, excuse me, to the back reverb, right? So I'm making sure that the choir I'm using this to kind of simulate a humongous choir where you can hear them in front, but then the reflection is also all the way to the back. So it sounds like it's a very large crowd of people singing. That's what I was, going for. That's what I was trying to simulate. Let me move it somewhere else. Especially on the tail, you can hear the tail sounds like it's a lot more people, chanting along with them. So now for this one, remember, this is on the Allvox bus. This one is the one feeding into the sidechain input of the compressor, the multiband compressor. We have these two guys. Okay, now that's all for the main signals. Those are the effects for the main signals. And then I'm sending this ping pong into the long reverb. I'm sending this stereo delay into the short verb and the long verb as well. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I'm doing. So for the lead, I'm sending the lead bus first into the short reverb. And then here's how the short reverb sounds. Let me turn off the long and let me turn off the ping pong. So you can hear that short delay just right behind the main vocal. Once the main signal comes in, there is a very short ambience that's just around the vocal. You can hear that.
Oh, come ye, oh, come.
If I turn it off,
Oh, come ye, oh, come.
hear how dry that sounds, right?
Adore,
But if I turn it back on,
adore him. Beth-
so yeah, that's what the short reverb is doing. And then for the long reverb, this is what it's doing.
Bethlehem. Come.
You can hear that tail. You can hear that tail, right? That's what the long reverb is doing. So a combination of the two of them.
Come ye to bed. Oh, come, let us adore him.
Right. And then I'm also sending a little of the lead vocals to the ping pong.
Our finest gifts we bring, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.
Let me turn off the reverb so that we can hear just the. You can hear that.
Lay before the king, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam.
So I'm just using it to add, kind of an ambience because I believe I'm sending the ping pong into a reverb plugin as well. Yes, I'm sending it into the long reverb so that it's not very apparent that there is a ping pong delay on it, but you can feel it in the music. It's just the space is just filled up with lots and lots of vocals happening. So all this I'm using to create like ear candy for the music. So I believe that's all. These two are just the sidechain inputs that I'm feeding into Pro MB and the compressor. And yeah, that's that's the entire thing. That's everything that's going on. So now let's listen to the music in beats and see what we've done. And here. And here. And yeah, that's the entire music, and this is the whole breakdown for this mix. If you liked this mix, if you want to support the group is Vox Squad, and it's my group. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the audio song to the audio song. I'm going to leave a link to the song on Spotify so you can go stream it. So yeah, kindly support us by streaming the music, following us on our socials. I'm going to leave everything so that you can easily find it. Yeah, if you like this video and if you found value, kindly leave a like. Also drop a comment in the comment section, and as well subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you on the very next video. Please remember to hit the notification bell so that you see once I've dropped the next video, you can get notified. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.